We're Richard and Cherise Marshall. We met years ago when I got stationed here in Fort Carson, and kind of on a blind date. And I think immediately we started, we were inseparable. And I don't think she fully knew what kind of a person I was when we met. I think probably the first couple of years I knew her, I don't know how many times I was arrested and went to jail. Her dad bailed me out of jail. But we did okay the first couple of years together because we weren't married. And I eventually, decided I wanted to marry her. And it's like the mask came off for her. The real me came out. I had no idea how to be a husband or a father or how to take care of anybody else than myself because of the way I was raised. So our marriage the first year was horrifying.
Right? Say the least.
Yeah, it was bad news. And I think after about a year, she asked me for a divorce. And she said she couldn't live like that anymore. I was a drunk. I was never home. I was verbally abusive to her. I had all kinds of problems. But I had actually got in some trouble with the law. This time it was more serious, and I ended up facing 8 to 16 years in prison. And I remember coming home one day. We weren't Christians at the time, but we were married, and I came home and I wasn't a crier. I didn't show emotion ever. And I got home that day, and I had detectives had just interviewed me about something and told me I was facing 8 to 16 years in prison. Plus, I was already on probation for some other things that I had done, and that it was looking like I probably wouldn't see her for 20 years, or my newborn son. And so I went into a bedroom, and I began to cry out to God. I started weeping, and I said, God, if you're really real. And God had always been in my mind because throughout the years, people had talked to me about the Lord, but I never got serious about it. And I remember Cherise told me, she said, we need a counselor. We need counseling. Yeah. And I told her, no, I think we need Jesus. And I probably surprised her. And then we went on a search to find Jesus. And so people came to my house to talk to me about God, and we said, well, we got to find a church, because that's all we knew, find a church. I didn't grow up in church. She didn't grow up in church. So we went to several different churches. The things we saw in there, the people we met, it wasn't for me. It was so different. It wasn't for us, I don't even know how to explain how those churches were, but nobody talked to us. Nobody would shake our hands. Nobody even looked at us. But we eventually were invited to Victory World Outreach. And it took about 3 weeks of this guy calling me all the time for us to go. And we eventually went. And that Sunday morning we got saved. Pastor Jones was preaching, and we got saved. And man, we gave my life to Jesus, and she gave her life to the Lord. And it was almost like everything completely turned around for us. Instead of thinking about divorce, it was like, when's the next church service? We want to come back. I can't believe that God loves us, He forgives us, and our lives can be different. It was so amazing being saved. And I had totally forgot about all the things I had done. All I wanted was God in my life. And after I got saved, I ran to go tell all my friends about Jesus. It had been about 3 days saved. And I went to tell all my friends. I went to a party. I think I had been saved almost 3 days. And I ended up, I didn't have much in the way of knowledge of the Bible or any kind of restraint. And so it was a mistake to go to a party to talk about God with these guys. And I ended up drinking. And that night I got in a fight, and these guys, I got in a fight with about 9 guys actually, and they broke all the windows in my wife's car, slashed all her tires, and then I got beat with baseball bats, and they broke my leg just below the kneecap, smashed it, and I remember the humiliation that I felt. It was horrible. Going back to church and having to face everybody now that I had made such a terrible mistake, facing her. I know she probably thought I was a loser. That's the thought that I had, was I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to serve God. I don't know how I'm going to be a husband. But eventually, God miraculously healed my body. Believe it or not, 3 weeks later, I went to a revival. And in that revival, God miraculously healed my leg. And I was able to take that cast off and walk. It was a tremendous miracle.
Yes.
And, it took, I'll tell you this, for 3 months after we got saved, we struggled. And it wasn't because of her, it was because of me. Because God had set me free from drugs and alcohol and was beginning to heal my marriage, but I still had the desire to go out and to use. And I remember the last night that I used was about 3 months after I got saved. It was on a Sunday night. Me and her got in an argument. We didn't go to church. And I went out and started drinking, and I felt guilty again. And I decided I'm going to church. It was a Sunday night. I went to the service drunk, and I went to the altar. And when they asked, what do you want in prayer? I said, I want the desire for the drugs and alcohol gone. And they laid hands on me in that service. It was November 27th, 1985. And I prayed that prayer, and he instantly set me free from every addiction and habit. I never had a desire to go back again. And I went home and told her, and I don't think she believed me at first, but we've been clean and free ever since.
Set free.
Set free.